country that have existed before, which is Biafra, is likely going to be made manifest, and that is the fear. Let me just tell you, for a lot of people that does not understand what is actually going on. What is saying, what next? That's what the whole world are talking about now. What is going to be the direction of these powerful world leaders? That is doing the needful, trying to make sure that extremism, radical extremism, Islamic ideology does not spread. I remember that Nigeria has been assumed or believed to be the head of the Sunnis and the Shiites, originating, or headquartered in Iran. There must be a reason why people are asking, are trying to know what is going to be the next move of President Donald Trump. Is Nigeria likely going to be the next focus of these great powerful nations? Unfortunately, we do not see any uprising coming from the northern part of the country at this time around. We have not seen uprising, no protest over the killing of the supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Khomeini, who was eliminated as a result of Israeli strike just few hours before now. So the question, why you are saying the expectation is very high, is that a lot of analysts are saying Nigeria is going to be the next focus. And people are asking, why is the northern part of the country quiet? And why are we not seeing protest? It just means that the fear of Trump, of course, is the beginning of wisdom. We've not seen that. We've not seen their sheikhs, their scholars, Islamic scholars as clerics, coming out to make unnecessary statements. Now we have not seen the likes of Asari Dokubo, who was actually planted in the Biafra land to make uncomplimentary comments against the United States of America. I think Asari Dokubo, to an extent now, need to be very careful, even though now it has been silenced by the brave activities of the IDF and, of course, the military U.S. onslaught on Iran. The motive of that attack in Iran was to just for a regime change, and make sure that the excess of intelligence that has been traced to Iran as one of the major sponsors with proxies scattered all over the world, and 75% of this thing, are directed in Africa, Nigeria. Now, if you look at it very well now, with the position of America in Nigeria, I think what we are hearing is that from both Israel and American government is that the next focus is going to be on Nigeria. And people are saying, of course, at the proclamation and declaration and recognition of a country that have existed before, which is Biafra, is likely going to be made manifest, and that is the fear. Let me just tell you, for a lot of people that does not understand what is actually going on. Biafra has been a country that is in existence up to this moment. Biafra has been in existence. Biafra was first negotiated with Britain in 1826 or thereabout, in the 18th century, where they have separate independence from the British colonial interest in Africa. Biafra has always been an independent nation. But even before the Gowon Ojukwu War, we saw it very clearly that Biafra was not surrendered to anybody. What they had was ceasefire. And remember, if Biafra have actually not existing, all the nations that recognized Biafra during and after the war has not denounced, understand that very well, has not said, that they are not withdrawing their recognition, support to this moment, all the nations that back. So please understand that what we are seeking for is global recognition of Biafra as an existing nation. To Nigeria, they don't know what they are doing. In the international community and anywhere in the international court, we have won them more than 1,000 times, and they know that. So what it means now at this point is that why you are seeing this thing coming very clearly is that now they have taken down completely those who are sponsoring or trying to make sure that the Christian nation, the Christian genocide continues in Nigeria, the killing and radicalism in Nigeria, both within the government circle and otherwise, has been eliminated. And the first thing they needed to do now is to proclaim, they pronounce and recognize the sovereign state of Biafra. The reason is that they wanted to create a safe nation for Christians in Nigeria, and that is going to be the focus.
Okay, now for what we are hearing is now the U.S. Congress are about to hold another session, just as the Israeli, Congress are about to hold another session as regards, the continuous killing and the freedom of the oppressed in Nigeria. A lot of people are saying, will Biafra and the other tribes like the Middle Belt who are suffering this continuous oppression by this northern Fulanis, do you think that these people have what it takes to finally liberate these people, the Biafrans and the Middle Beltans?
Of course, that is the mission. Biafra is just the mission that has been lined up on the ground there, waiting to happen. That's the mission, the focus. You can see very clearly why you said it, that the Congress about to meet again, after the decision to they have been taking over Iran completely. Iran is gone. They have solved the issue of Iran completely, and they needed to move. And remember, even before now, and that's like where people were doubting, what can Trump do? Can Trump actually do that? What is Russia? Where is China? All those things now, where are they? So when they are telling you now that they are coming, their meeting of the Congress is going to be focused on the decision of what the Trump government is likely to pronounce after Randy Moss's support, is going to create a safe nation. And that's what the Congress meeting is all about. There's no two ways about it. They have the might, they have the strength, they have the technology to do that. And they are going to support Biafra, kick off as a sovereign nation properly, and all the things that are required militarily and otherwise. I remember just a few days ago to tell you that they are working, they are taking things out one after another. In Hague, in Netherlands, the Biafran government in Asia have officially submitted their territorial boundaries with the World Court, with the international communities, to be able to have it known to the world that we now have an airspace, we now have a territorial boundary, waters with the sea, and everything has been submitted officially. So you can see it's not a matter of coming to proclaim. When they see those things on all those areas being taken care of properly, and of course at the end of the day, having done that and the world having acknowledged that Biafra is going to have their own space, and of course their territorial boundaries and within the international waters, of course we are making headway. So that's the focus. There's no two ways about it. I can tell you, when they eventually shift direction to Africa, they are going to see clearly. If it is not so, the Israeli parliament wouldn't have initiated that process to tell you that it is crystal clear, of what is coming. That the next focus is going to see the rising of Biafra as a nation. And of course, the freedom of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, which I always say is going to be not conditional, but they will just tell the federal government it is time. And with what they have seen done to Venezuela and Iran today, Bola Ahmed Tinubu no go shishi. And they tell you, he will just do the needful immediately. Immediately, just ordinary pronouncement is done. Wherever they get Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, they will bring him out, because the world want to see him accept the responsibility of how the kickoff of Biafra at the end of the day. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu can never be in prison when Biafra will be declared any moment from now.
Okay. But why do you think that these northern leaders are so scared? They said, please, Netanyahu, please don't come to Nigeria, don't invade Nigeria. Are they scared that they know that Netanyahu and the US government have a plan to finally declare Biafra? Because
I don't know.
please don't come to our
I don't know
territory.
why the Fulani North, the entire Muslims in the North, are afraid of Benjamin Netanyahu. They prefer a bit liberal Trump, you know, coming to deal with them. Maybe to an extent, the Nigerian factor can play out at the end of the day. But they see, you know, Netanyahu as somebody who is extremely on the decision, who is extreme in deciding anything that is a threat to Israel and Christians all over the world, especially the Jews. The Jews has went through a lot in the world. They are no longer taking chances. America, of course, they came in as a result of, you know, God created them for that purpose, which they actually achieved and were able to stabilize the world in that regard. You know, but the Israeli ideology on what they should do after they have exhausted and presented all manner of peace plan, you know, to let the world be in existence, and to extend, you know, they became. You can see what happened in October 7. So they under Benjamin Netanyahu now, you know, the northern Fulanis are afraid of Benjamin. They prefer to deal with Trump. And I've told you the reason that when Benjamin said yes, in less than 2 hours, he's already in your doorstep. You know, but when America said yes, he still want to give you, you know, a long road for you to, you know, come up, dialogue and all that. But it is not that. So that's why the Fulani North, the Sultan of Sokoto, and the rest of them, the Sheikh, the scholars, the Gumis, you know, they are afraid of Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel. They prefer to, you know, talk to Trump, maybe based on liberal ideology and all that. But you can see, you know, they are not doing that right now. So they prefer to deal with Trump. And now that the Trump looks like he's removing his hand, you know, diplomatically from the issue that surround the decision that's going to happen in Nigeria, no months from that, and handing it over directly to Israel. And that is where the fear is. That is where everybody in the north seems to be quiet. It looks as if now the southern part of the country is really trying to intimidate the north, conquer the relax. The south has actually conquered the north because the north, you know, has actually went silent. This is not what we used to hear before. You know, that means they are actually afraid of what the Israeli government and USA is already doing. And to the surprise of many, look at Britain. Keir Starmer joined America and Israel to the surprise of the whole world. Russia also sitting on, nobody has come to intervene on behalf of Iran. And that sends a very, that was a demoralizing international image for Islam, Muslims in the north, and especially radicalized ones linking themselves to the Fulani. And don't be surprised that what is happening now, can actually ignite uprising where the Hausas who said, okay, it is time for you to go. Don't be surprised that the entire Muslim Fulani might decide to run away from Nigeria or go underground because, you know, their headquarters has been destroyed. All the people who are protecting them has been destroyed. But the danger that the regrouping aspect of it, you know, might not be the same thing as what we hear say in the southeast. They might redirect their forces down to Africa per se, and that is why Biafra need to be recognized as a nation, as a major ally within Africa and West Africa, a continent that will have a direct link to Biafran allies, to like America and Israel at the end of the day, to be able to stabilize the presence of possible regrouping of radical ideology, Islamic radical ideology, and radical extremism in Africa.
Okay, we saw the other day Gutierrez, United Nations Secretary General, he said the people have the right to fight for their freedom, and Donald Trump is on his neck. It's as if he is not doing his job properly. He said the people have right to fight for their freedom, and at the same time, he's looking more as if the like of Somalia, Biafra now are already placed on a charter, on a global world recognition charter. Do you agree to what Gutierrez is saying?
United Nations Secretary General, unfortunately, under his watch, we are seeing the level of lackadaisical and nonchalant approach of the United Nations to global threats by this radical Islamism. But to an extent, a lot of issues has been presented to the United Nations in regards to that. But I can see because of crude oil and oil wealth, it looks like the United Nations has been compromised, and that is why the United States of America has actually withdrawn their support for United Nations. But suddenly we are seeing the UN Secretary General coming up, to talk about constitutional Biafra, coming out to talk about, having gone through the Biafran charter, like what you saw in Somaliland, that it is time now for him to look at it well, because I think he's excited that Biafra has continued to meet a certain standard that is required by United Nations, under his word. And I think having had that diplomatic, information and necessary steps being taken, and is about to endorse, of course, the Biafran nation any moment from now. If you look at the kind of statement that have been coming out from the Secretary General, United Nations Secretary General himself, Antonio Guterres, it is very clear that he has actually given his consent to Biafra, not as a result of what the other nations are about doing currently now, but because he discovered that Biafra is going to emerge as a constitutional nation, one, then secondly as a secular nation, but under the stronghold and principle of liberty that is tied to Christian upholding Christian values and morals within the context of the nation. And that is what the United Nations actually is looking for. There will be no extremism, radicalism in Biafran land, because that would not actually be tolerated. So having met that standard, and that is why with the development now, United Nations has already endorsed Biafra as a nation, given what other nations are about doing currently now. And remember, a lot of people might not know that we have about 5 to 7 nations now that are already backing United States of America and Israel on the recognition of Biafra, coupled with the one that we are outstanding before in 1967 that recognized Biafra and that have not denied that up to this moment. They have not denounced that. They still stand. So it tells you that Biafra is already in existence, and what is needed now is the recognition, and that is what United Nations is talking about. That after all, that Biafra is still in existence, and what is required now is just the recognition by global world powers.
And of course, we will try more to cultivate that culture in our people, while at the same time bringing the Fulanis in one fold and try to arrest their traditional practice of moving from one place to the other. And that is very big, an uphill task. But I think we can communicate with them more, because to them they don't have borders from Cameroon to Nigeria.
But that's the thing, Excellency. How do we ensure that those who will be participating in this federal government largely funded program will be Nigerians?
In terms of the funding?
No, in terms of
the operations.
Operations. You said to bring in the Fulanis together. We have Fulanis from other countries.
The issue of misconception, I said there is a lot of mistrust and misconception with regards to the Fulani man. The Fulani man is a global or an African person. He moves from the Gambia, from Senegal, and his nationality is just a Fulani man. And as a person, I may have my relations in the Cameroon, but they are also Fulani men. I have relations because from the maternal side, I'm a Fulani man. And that is why we want to educate people. A Fulani man sees himself as a Bayelsan, as somebody coming from the Niger Delta, because he speaks the Niger Delta language, which you and I don't. And of course, we would have to just take this as part of our own heritage, something that is African, and that we cannot just close the border and say the Fulani man is just a Nigerian or this. No. In most cases, the crises are precipitated by those outside Nigeria. When there is a reprisal, it is not the Fulani man within Nigeria that causes it. It is that culture of getting revenge, which is embedded in the tradition of the Fulani man, that attracts reprisal from all over the world.
If I understand, does that mean that those Fulani men who are maybe domiciled in other countries, who move around, they can come into the country and this plan will accommodate them as well?
Yes, that's what we want to do. But it has to be done through sensitization, telling them you have to buy in the project, and you use the language, the culture itself to be able to convince them, away from the mistrust where the whole system of transhumance or pastoralism is criminalized. Criminalization of pastoralism is the problem that we have with this project, and it requires people with passion who understand them and who they believe in, people like us from that part of the country, to say yes, we have this. Because today there is no limit to the accusation that this and that has happened and it is the Fulani man who caused it. There is no tribe that is not, that you don't have this criminality in, but certainly the way and manner we do it is really exacerbating the crisis and the problems.
Will there be any form of documentation of all the people that will be,
yes, we are
within that?
Oh yes, that is going to give Nigeria the opportunity to really have the best in terms of documentation in the demographics, because as I said, the Fulani man settles anywhere he can feed his cattle. And so if they are put in one place and they are made to understand that this is to save them and their animals, they are exposed to the vagaries of the forest and what is going on, cattle rustling, killings and what have you, and that's why it is important for them to understand that staying in one place is good. And of course, in terms of the best practice of carrying the meat, the cows and the lorries.
Let's stay with that security angle for a bit. Is there going to be, this plan going to be a fenced enclosure where anyone who comes in is secured, so there is no one that can just come in from anywhere else?
No. It is going to be a colony, and a colony does not require a fence. You will understand
going
to be a prison.
You will understand the reason why people are concerned, because of all the security issues that have been happening over time. So if
these forests are there anyway. If you don't occupy them and create a colony out of them, they create places for the criminals. And today, that's why you have the Sambisa forest, because it is not being utilized.
But Your Excellency, much as yes, I mean, they're fantastic. We have met a lot of them who are Fulanis as well. But the concern too is, why should federal government use resources for this country to accommodate Fulani men who are not Nigerians?
You see, as I said, we are already accommodating them. Do you delineate and then really know who is not a Fulani man from Nigeria? They are all Nigerians, because I said their identity, their own citizenship is Nigerian, even though we have relations all over the world, all over Africa. And so, presumably they are Nigerians. I think you get me. That is the misunderstanding. They move from one place to the other, and they have relations, kith and kins in all the parts of the country and even outside the country. So that is why our own population is fluid. You can certainly not say this is the population of Nigeria.
So this issue
is Biafra going to emerge as a nation? A quiet war in Washington and a stunning turn of events. What many dismissed as noise has hardened into something far more unsettling for Abuja, a lobbying battlefield in Washington, D.C., where silence no longer favors the Nigerian state. For months now, quietly, methodically, and without the theatrics of press conferences, representatives aligned with the Biafra struggle have been working the corridors of power, not on social media, not through slogans, but through policy briefs, congressional offices, human rights reports, and diplomatic language the West understands all too well. Now the shock, the balance appears to be tilting. Insiders confirm that Nigeria's long-standing narrative, internal security matter, nothing to see here, is cracking under sustained scrutiny. The questions coming out of Capitol Hill are no longer polite. They are pointed, they are documented, and they are uncomfortable. This is where the story takes its sharpest turn. The Biafra Republic Government in Exile, BRGIE, long ridiculed by critics as symbolic or ineffective, is reportedly gaining traction where it matters most. Credibility, not because of noise, but because of consistency, not because of emotion, but because of evidence, detentions without trial, selective justice, militarization of civil dissent, and contradictions Nigeria can no longer explain away. Those who once mocked the effort, the doubting, are suddenly quiet, not convinced perhaps, but no longer dismissive. Silence in politics often signals shock. And Abuja? Abuja is reacting, not leading. Emergency counter-lobbying, hastily arranged diplomatic reassurances, old talking points recycled for a new audience that has clearly moved on. Washington has seen this script before, and it rarely ends well for governments that underestimate sustained advocacy. This is not victory, not yet, but it is momentum, and momentum, once gained in international politics, is brutally difficult to reverse. One thing is now undeniable. What was once laughed off as impossible has entered the realm of the dangerously plausible. Whether anyone admits it or not, the Biafra struggle is now a clarion call for concerns. Nigerian government must appease all stakeholders for a peaceful family reunion and coexistence. I am Kwame Achimfor. This is View Africa 24.